Last episode, we talked about white. I'm trying to wham everyone out of Whamageddon them. I'm not a singer, though, so I'm not going to be able to do this for everyone. I don't think that counts. I think you've still dodged Whamageddon if you're trying to avoid it. Welcome to the MM.
You want me to do
you want to do it?
Do you want me to do the intro to this episode?
Yeah,
like that?
yeah.
So you have to do it every time?
Yeah, so you can do the song.
I'm not going to sing. No, I'm not going to sing.
You have to sing it. If I'm not relenting the power of introing every
Wham?
video.
Wait, why is it Wham? Isn't Wham the other song? You were doing the Rup-a-Tum-Tum song.
That was the first one. I was trying to do Last Christmas just then, but I'm not a good singer.
Yeah.
It was like
That's
last episode, we talked about white. It was pretty great. And now we're on blue. Right? Yeah, Wooberg.
I could have made up a song
This
probably
is
on
the MCast, and now we're gonna talk about blue cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did it.
Exactly.
We got there.
He did it. We got there, guys. Welcome to the
everyone.
Tuesday episode of the MMcast. And those of you that are listening to this on the audio, we continue down this road talking about our favorite cards in every color in modern. They all have to be modern. Legal, Alex, and I each have 5 cards that we love. This time it's blue. Be sure to leave a comment on this video after you're done listening. And of course, hit the thumbs up button. We're going to get right into it first. Alex, your blue, number 5. I didn't rank mine for any of these. This is the thing. Alex ranked them. I'm kind of doing them on site. What's your number 5?
Trinket Mage. 2/2. 2 and a blue to make it wizard human. When enters the battlefield, find a artifact 1 or less converted mana cost. I love Trinket Mage. I put it in every deck. In Commander, it's to find tops. In Modern, it's to find good hate cards out of your sideboard alongside engineered explosives. You got Tormod's Crypts. You got Grafdigger's Cages. You got maps to find Academy Ruins, the loop maps. It's all good news when you got a Trinket Mage in play. Plus, it blocks it as a 2/2, and you can trap a sword to it. It's the Swiss Army knife of Magic: The Gathering.
Don't forget that it's also a wizard. It's a human. You said wizard. Yeah, it just does so many.
Yeah,
it does so many cool things. I've always loved this card. I've loved this card since I bought my very first box of Fifth Dawn way back in the day when it was very first printed. Such a popular card now that it has spawned the printing of 3 other variants. There's Trinket Mage, Treasure Mage, Trophy Mage, and is there one other? Spellseeker's kind of the same thing, but it's not the same thing.
There's Trophy Mage, Treasure Mage. There's 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop, and 6-drop are the 4.
Yeah. So what's the Tribute Mage? That's the 2-drop. Gotcha. There's 4 of them now. Yeah. It's super sweet. So I love that card. I always have loved that card. I'll jump in here with my number 5. Kind of a strange number 5. No, I'll save that. My number 5 is Pongify. I've been talking about this card for years. I love this card. You knew this would be on my list. This is like one of my staple cards that I talk about. And I think I have more of those pet cards in blue than any color. It's 1 blue instant, destroy target creature. Its controller puts a 3/3 green 8th creature token onto the battlefield. I love Pongify for so many reasons. I love Pongify because it's one of the few blue effects that for 1 blue says destroy target creature. There's almost none. It's uniquely powerful for that reason. The fact that blue has the ability to interact and destroy a Primeval Titan. It can destroy your biggest threat. It's just able to destroy a creature for 1 blue. Like a 3/3 token's fine, but it's not that good. And then also the fact that if you're playing a tempo deck that wants to have removal, but you need to have some way to save your creatures, the fact that you can respond to the removal by destroying your own creature and getting a 3/3 out of it turns into sort of like this brilliant 1-mana counterspell. And they knew people liked it, so they rebranded it as Rapid Hybridization years later. But just the picture of the ape and it just making an ape is just sweeter. It's just awesome. I love this card.
I like Frog Monster Beast thing, I think, more. I like the new one more than Pongify.
Okay, fair enough.
If I had to pick, I do think. Well, we were just talking about this with the white, right? Like, can white have this card? And I kind of forgot this card existed when I was saying that. I mean, what would exile versus destroy, which is a upgrade, and maybe it's a 2/2 versus a 3/3 to do that. But it's
almost the same card, right? Like it's literally almost exactly.
And it's worse. Like, it's not better than Path, but could they print this in the standard as a white card? I think they totally could. Yeah, it's sweet.
What you got?
My next card is Remand. One of the blue return target spell to throw in a hand, draw a card. It's like such a useful card. You can do, it's like the best card you can have in a counter war because you can return your spell to your hand if they're countering your spell. So you draw a card, get your spell back, and they lose their counter spell. You can just use it to tempo people out in Modern for a while. That was all you needed because you were just playing the Lingering Soul or the Splinter Twin game. So you just had to survive to the turn you won. Scapeshift also was taking a lot of advantage of this at that point when it was a rug deck. It's just like a really, really, really cool counterspell. We talked about in White when we talked about Mana Tide, like big brain cards. This is another one where like you just feel smart when you wreck someone with this card or get them. If you get them getting a Tasigur, right? Or you like get them playing something that involves sacrificing a creature as part of its cost. I think it's really tight. I love the card.
Yeah, I think I'll jump straight to my card here just because it's related. But what I will say on this before I move on is that you talked about Mana Tithe. This is so similar and also so different because it's exactly the opposite. If they go for a 6 mana spell with this, it doesn't matter if they have open mana. You returning it to their hand is everything. That's the whole advantage, right? The more expensive of a spell they try, even if they leave 1 mana open, the better off you are. I didn't put this on my list, even though I do love it. I chose a different counterspell that's always been near and dear to my heart, and that is Delay. And this is a card from Future Sight. Originally, it is one blue, 1 colorless. Actually, it's just 1 blue is how you say that. One counter target spell. Counter target spell. If the spell is countered this way, remove it from the game with 3 time counters on it. It gains suspend if it doesn't have suspend. So they put it into exile with 3 counters on it. Every upkeep they remove a counter. When the last one's removed, the spell is cast without paying its casting cost. The reason I like Delay so much, and I'm always kind of shocked this card doesn't see more play. Modern is a pretty fast format. So having the ability to do what Remand or Mana Leak wants to do, what Leak wants to do early, but not having to worry that it's going to be garbage late game means that whatever you're doing is going to get through. Like you're going to have 3 turns to get there. And I think that it's just kind of just like a severely underrated card. I mean, Logic Knot's terrific, but it's double blue and you have to have a full graveyard. You can splash this card. 1 blue, 1 colorless. It doesn't cost you much. You can put it into many decks. And then there's also that cool functionality that it has with like a, Wasteland Strangler, like that type of thing where you can exile it, put it into, and then put it in their graveyard. So I love this card. Again, I chose a lot of cards that I think are fun that I like, but I do think that this card is pretty underplayed. It's really good.
Yeah. I really like that. I mean, they kind of do very similar things, right? My next card, which also does a similar thing, because we're in blue. And that is Creature Venser. This is the original Venser. 2 blue, legendary creature, human wizard, 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, return target permanent or spell to their owner's hand. So this can be used as a bounce counter spell similar to Remand. It can be used to remove a thing in play. It can kill a token. It can bounce a thing. It has Boomerang and Remand attached. But instead of drawing a card, you get a 2/2 creature. The benefit of Venser, beyond just having a 2/2 creature you can attack with, is you can abuse him by using stuff that lets you blink. So Restoration Angel, we mentioned. You can also abuse it in like Legacy used to be able to do it with, because it's a legendary creature, you could do it with Caracas. Like I used to play Venser Caracas in Miracles just because it like was a 1 card. You can exile it to Force of Will if you like don't need it. It's going to get some opponents. They're just like not going to be able to handle getting that spell return to their hand in Legacy where it matters. And then eventually you get to the point where you have Caracas and this, and like you block them out of the game. They can never cast a spell again. So love the card. Really, really sweet. Honestly, my main reason I want Caracas unbanned. Like I would love for Wizards to print that type of effect, but only targets creatures that you control.
Okay.
Like I don't need it to target my opponents. I just want it to affect me.
I've always loved Venser. I think that there's probably a modern deck at some point that will play on the same axis that like Ponza plays. That's going to play Naban and Venser, and will just sort of like turbo return everything on the battlefield to their hand. Mm-hmm. Will just bounce all the lands. With Force of Negation existing, I think Venser's terrific. So my next card is one that you guys know well. It's on my shelf over here. Down, I can see it yonder, and that is Grand Architect. Now, I put this card on this list because it is classically my favorite card. It's kind of been, most of my favorite cards from 5 years ago have kind of aged out. It's not really powerful anymore. It's not even really fringe powerful anymore. I just really love it. Grand Architect is blue 1 for a 1/3. Vidalcan Artificer. Other blue creatures you control get +1/+1. For a blue, target artifact becomes blue until end of turn, and then it has the ability to tap an untapped blue creature you control, add 2 colorless mana, spend this mana only to cast artifact spells or activate abilities of artifacts. As I've said many times, the thing that's cool about this card is that it's a 3 mana Lord for blue. just above all else, right? Like it's just, this is a non-tribal base level. You just make all your creatures bigger. And then on top of that, it has this cool ability that allows you to avoid summoning sickness for any blue creature to cast artifacts and activate abilities of artifacts. And again, you want to talk about unique abilities. There's not a lot of cards that do that. All of the 2-mana creatures in blue that allow you to accelerate, they require you to have an untap step. You can play this on turn 3, tap it, and cast Walking Ballista, Mirror Superior, any 2-mana artifact the same turn you play it. You can accelerate into Mind Stone. You can, like, there's just a ton of things you can do with Grand Architect. It's a very unique ability. It's been kind of overshadowed by Urza, but just, I mean, you guys know how much I love this card. I always have, and it's hard to find a way to play it, but it's super awesome.
I think Urza is like also a kind of statement of like, oh, we get that people like this card. What are ways to make it good?
Yeah,
right? I think that's what Urza was. I think they're like, oh, we've had this pocket way of like maybe making a better version of Grand Architect, and Urza is our main artificer character ever. We're actually printing him for the first time. Well, how can we combine those? And I think that's where we ended up with. And there's like, yeah, I think that kind of the blue artifact ramp spell creature has always been really cool. There's the artifact one that gives them all artifacts cost 1 less.
Yep,
that's probably my second favorite after those two. But yeah, I love this.
Was that Foundry Inspector? Is that the one?
Maybe I have it somewhere near me if I wanted to find it, but it's right there. It's from Esper.
Card is sweet.
One in the blue.
No, that's Ethereum Sculptor. That card's great.
Yeah. My next card in blue is Hedron Crab. One spicy crab boy.
Classic.
Mills your opponent real well, especially with the Rune Crab. Mills yourself really well just by itself. Rune Crab didn't enjoy him on the self-mill train, but just like one of the coolest engines, just like really, really fun to kind of play with. It makes you like, it's an actively fun way of playing Magic where like you're playing fetch lands and that's milling your deck and then that's getting you value and then you're able to play that value. It's never been like the best in Modern, though there's definitely been times, but now Hedron Crab with Rune Crab is able to kind of do real stuff as far as the mill your opponent out version of the game. So Hedron Crab just keeps trucking along, being the 0-2 we all wish we could be.
It's really sweet. I mean, Hedron Crab, you and I have been talking about this card since we became friends. It's been around since then, basically. And it's great. This card is like, it's adorable. And what you just said, the thing that's so fun about this card is the incidental value. It's playing a fetch land, cracking your land, searching for something and saying, trigger, I'll do this cool thing, which either furthers my game plan against you or gets me going with what I'm trying to do. And, and they've printed things like Bruvac that make this card even better. So I do think that Hedron Crab is one of the all-time sweet cards. It's totally sweet.
Yep. What's your number 2?
Oh, man. Coming down to this is a tough decision because I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 cards left on the list here. I'm going to have to cut it. I'm going to have to go. This is tough for me. All right. You know what? Curious Obsession. My next blue card.
Spicy.
It's because it's one of my favorites. It really has become like one of my all-time favorite cards. It's costs a single blue mana. It is an enchantment or enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card at the beginning of your end step. If you didn't attack with a creature this turn, sacrifice Curious Obsession. This card's pushed. This card is pushed and was pushed from the day they printed it. It's not strictly better than Curiosity because you lose it at the end of turn if it didn't attack, but like the fact that you just can play any 1/1 on turn 1, play this on turn 2, attack for 2, and draw a card is so good. Like it's so pushed. If you have any way to protect it, literally this is set up to just play all things that cost 1 and have a Spell Pierce or have a Force Spike or have a Flusterstorm or something open to make sure you're okay. And so many games in multiple formats have I done that. This is another one of these cards that in Modern over the years, this is going to pick up steam. This is going to become more and more of a played card. I know it because it's too good for what it does. And if you can put it on the right creature and protect it, it's just a busted advantage. A couple times, attack with this 2 times, 3 times. It's like you're going to win the game at that point.
My number 1, Snapcaster Mage.
That's my last card. So There you go.
Best, everyone's favorite blue card. I think in the world, maybe Jace the Mind Sculptor. It's interesting that Jace made it on neither our things. Jace is a weird one for me. Which I know we're talking about Snapcaster Mage, but I want to talk about why Jace didn't make it out of my list. I've like never. I think it's like it's not fun to win with and it's not fun to lose against, I think is kind of where I'm at on Jace. Like it's obviously extremely powerful, but it just is always kind of just like, okay, this is doing a really powerful thing versus like I like feeling smarter, and Jace just feels like it's taking the smart out of the game, I think is what it really is. Where like Snapcaster Mage, like it's just the most versatile creature ever printed, I think. Actually, I don't even think that's like facetious. I think like I can't think of another card that's more versatile. There are more powerful creatures, right? There's like the Deathrite Shamans, there's Primeval Titan, even probably arguably there's like Hermit Druid, right? If you want to like really talk about it.
Yeah.
But like it just does like whatever. It's like, it's really cool. You feel really smart. Like even like when you like flash it on turn 2, knowing that you have to put a clock on your opponent in like a tempo game, being able to buy back spells, like, you know, just doubling up your paths or lightning bolts is always just like this extremely powerful thing. It's just such a cool, powerful card in a really fun way. That it also doesn't think oppressive for the opponent because it's like a 2/1 that draws you a card. You just get a really cool spell. I think it's like really, really great.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Snapcaster Mage it's just like the OG, like from the day it was printed till now. It's always fun. I like it less now than I used to. I find it to be a little bit more expensive. I feel like the whole process of using it that I want it to be, not that it's expensive by any means. It's just like it tends to feel like when you get to the point in the game which you're hoping to use your Snapcaster, it's often like a little expensive to like get it and a flashback spell and then play whatever is in your hand also. And so it tends to feel like a little clunkier than I think it used to me. But I mean, it is just one of the most powerful cards ever. You know, it was on my list as my last card. The honorable mention on my list that I didn't go with were Soul Artifact and Brazen Borrower, both of which I love and both of which I would love to talk about. But you know, I think Snapcaster is just the right decision. Yeah.
So yeah. What I mean, blue is a lot of people's favorite color. I believe it is probably both of our favorite colors. Though other colors definitely jump in and out. What about, why is blue? What is your favorite part about playing blue?
My favorite thing in Magic is drawing cards. I like drawing cards more than anything else, which is hilarious because I fall victim to the thing many times where my decks are just entirely built to just draw cards, but they don't actually do anything with the cards. Like, case in point, building a commander deck with Sig as my commander is like just the whole game plan is to just like draw as many cards as I can. So that's what blue does best, is draw cards. I love counter spells. I love being able to like draw a card and do something marginal. It's just, I think the reactive sort of play on the margins nature of blue, especially in the tempo game, that's my favorite part of Magic. It's the game of Magic that I relate to the most and enjoy playing the most. So, that's how I feel about it.
I think it's the big brain plays for me. I think like the fact that blue is tricky, like you like the way it ekes out wins and advantages is outthinking the game. Not necessarily even outthinking your opponent, but just like you have to use like, and it's really good at that because it has access to drawing extra cards. It's super powerful. And so I think that's always been really fun. I also just love its artifact interaction. I think that's the other place that I really like blue, and like the artificer side of things. To the extent that as red gets better, red is becoming more and more one of my favorite colors, I think, even over red. And I think it's a space that I wish white was better at. Like, I think it's something I wish blue was less good at, in fact, because I think blue is so good at so many things. And white building a society and being better at artifacts, I think is really cool. And I think white could get Trinket Mage. I think them printing just Trinket Mage in white would be really, really sweet. And then within Color Pie.
Well, it's interesting because they like Auriok Salvagers is like sort of the white card that interacts with one CMC artifacts from the same set. And it's like they've kind of played in that space, right? White's like pretty interested in recursive artifact stuff but it's also interested in shutting off artifacts, which is the weird part. White does both. Yeah. It's like the ultimate, you know, we can sort of the idea of we control the artifacts, but then blue has that same identity. It just doesn't have the hate bear side of it. So it's a good point. You know, white could probably lean into that space more.
All right. So if you're watching the YouTube video, one more time, thank you so much. Please like and subscribe. And one last thing, we've been trying to do these weekly videos. So we're releasing a new content every week. Last week we did blue. Yesterday we did blue. Tomorrow we're doing black because I'm good at Wooburg and remembering the order of those colors. And I hope you guys really like it. It's something that we're doing. I think it's been a really big success over the last couple of weeks. One thing there is a pretty significant difference in cost on how to do these videos in this way. If you really, really like it, We have a Patreon. Please check that out. Any amount helps. If you donate anything $5 or above, you also get access to the raw feed, which is like the full audio content, including an extra bonus thing. So even if you just want to listen to like an extra 20 minutes of unheard content anywhere else, it's only available there. It's really, really cool. Please check that out. And it helps. It should help us continue doing this kind of this experiment where we're doing a new video multiple days a week. So I hope you guys like it.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this. And as he mentioned, the Patreon is the key. It's the key to keeping this thing going. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking maybe hop for the holidays, what do I want to do? If you want to support your favorite content creators, if we're even on that list, please support patreon.com/TheMMCast. It really does make a huge difference. So thanks for watching. That was our episode about Blue.
This has been a production of Time Traveler Media, sending podcasts into the future.